I was going to take an additional fight with Angela, but we'll get to that later. Someone stole it from me. Can you believe that?
Thick-ass war vid for you today. We're up against SAS. This is war number 3. SAS, home of Janik, the new Kabam balance designer. I'm going to link his channel in the description box below. Do yourself a favor and check out his war videos. I think he stopped posting them the season before last, but they are my favorite war videos in the MCOC community. Just the format, the structure, all that stuff. I think he does an awesome job. I'm pretty confident that at the very least he is going to, represent the community and the players, especially at the high ends, at the Kabam offices, and that comforts me a lot with this whole balance system that they've announced. So, all right, I am bringing in Apocalypse for Power Down. He's going to be taking a ton of fights. We are going to take a peek at Power Down here. Finishing a basic attack with a different attack as the previous, a basic attack combo. Applies a Wither debuff that reduces ability power rate by 20% for 15 seconds. Each prowess effect adds an additional Wither. So basically you alternate combos, light ending, medium ending. Once you do the second alternate, then you apply a Wither debuff. Apocalypse with 4 prowess is going to apply 4 Wither debuffs. I think it might even be 5, I can't remember. And each of those reduces ability power rate by 20%. So with 5 Withers, you're reducing ability power by 100%. Now, ability power is not combat power. Combat power is when you are punching people or getting punched. They're still going to gain power from that. Ability power does apply to Mystic Dispersion, Kinetic Transference. It applies to champs like Hyperion, for example, that get power gain buffs. It applies to Power Charge, the power gain like mechanic that Dragon Man has. So it's a really powerful ability, and it's going to come into play pretty majorly in 2 fights, 2 of the scariest fights on the map. And in this war, I do believe that I am taking now what is the most dangerous node, or the most dangerous, I think, fight on the entire war map. And fight being more specific than node, it's a combination of the node, the defender that's placed there, and one of their bands. So we're going to talk about that when we get there. So I do have Killmonger on my team. I'm going to be taking the MODOK boss. Killmonger is a really, really strong matchup for Overseer. However, I'm going to be using Apocalypse because, as you guys probably noticed, I do not have Cable with me. I could not fit him on my team. And honestly, it's fine. But it does mean that I need to get him built up. So he's going to start this quest with only 1 prowess. And we want to get him maxed out for my 4th fight, which is that aforementioned terrifying, really scary fight. Alright, so Overseer here is fairly interesting. A lot of people do use Dr. Doom on this node, and Overseer is immune to stagger and nullify. I presume that is why he's here. I think he's also got a pretty sizable health pool. And of course, when he throws a special, he does gain stun immunity for 7 seconds and an auto block mechanic that allows him to auto block and parry your second hit. So that's why I do 1 hit there, back off, because he would have auto-blocked and parried me on the second one. I'm just waiting out this phase. I am not at all concerned about the regen. My damage is going to be totally fine. I do throw the SP2 here. My last combo ended in a medium, so that applies the degen. I don't have to worry about power down on this node because he doesn't get any power. Now here, I go for the kill shot. This is going to happen actually 3 different times, I think, in this war, maybe twice, where I'm a little bit careless with throwing my SP2, going for the kill shot, and potentially pushing people to an SP3 if I don't actually kill them. I do have White Magneto here with me, but I'm going to be using my White Magneto for Mini Island. So I've got, you know, a path buddy that's placing guidance for me here. So I do have the benefit of guidance. Now here you guys are going to see that I am applying those withers. So Mystic Dispersion is completely taken away at this point. When he goes into Wrath, also his power back, I think like the power consumption for his specials is reduced by 50%. I don't think that that's affected by Wither, but honestly I can't remember. Now here I lose my Indestructible just with a really, really slow heavy trying to refresh the debuffs. I can't really punish that because of the passive Unstoppable. The second one from his heavy was bypassed by my concussion. Alright, so I really just want him to empty his power here. And I get caught backdrafting. So I'm going to throw my SP3. You know, it is possible that I could apply a weakness here. Since I don't have any debuffs on him, it's just going to randomize 2 debuffs. Hopefully one of them is a weakness. Neither of them is a weakness. One is a poison, one is a concussion. So I won't be reducing the SP3 damage. Now I know that I'm not going to die here because a boosted Apocalypse has like 82,000 health if you're fully boosted. And you guys can see, I mean, it ends up doing less than 20% damage, which is pretty funny. There, I kind of panicked, throw my SP1. He is going to try... No, alright, he doesn't try to punish that immediately. I would have had enough room to get out of the way there just because of the projectile nature of the SP1. And at this point, I'm just like, I just need to get the hell up out of this fight. I'm not going to worry about refreshing the debuffs. I just want to get back to my SP1. I'm just going to throw this. It'll kill him. And, you know, not clean, pretty messy, but again, boosted with a rank 4 Apocalypse. You have so much health to work with. Pretty safe. Alright, so TJ, that is TJ. He is, I believe, placing another white mags. Or I think he just moved up, actually. He's helping me with energy. But I don't know, he was dicking around in there. So I back out and go back in. Now this node, every 10 hits on your combo meter, I believe, the defender is gaining an armor buff. And when they have an armor buff, each of your hits has a 15% chance to apply a shock to the attacker. I have no immunity to that shock, obviously. This node does have masochism. The last one did too. Apocalypse is great for masochism because it does count as a purify. You don't have to worry about purify because of his purify ability accuracy reduction. So, but you guys will see he does get an armor here. I do apply the wither, not that it really matters on this node. But there goes the shock. I'm stacking those up. They're doing, you know, a decent amount of damage. It's about 700 damage per second per stack. You guys can see it's kind of melting me down here. But I know that I don't need to panic here. All I need to do is get out of this fight without dying. And then I'll have a fully ramped up Apocalypse. I throw the SP2 to finish him. And yeah, I mean, I lost a lot of health on that node. And with a boosted Apocalypse, that is really, really expensive. But again, all I really cared about here in this first section was getting my Apocalypse to 4 prowess, or 4 genetic code. And I've done that now. Alright, so here we have what I believe is the scariest fight on the map currently, requiring that Ghost is banned, because Ghost just completely takes this fight away. But once I get done boosting here, we will see what it is, and I'll kind of talk through why I think it's so scary. It's really just the interaction between the node, the defender, and again, requiring that Ghost is banned, because Ghost would just ignore the interaction completely if she wasn't banned. Alright, and that is Dr. Doom on the new node 26. So node 26 is what I think is about a dozen nodes that was overhauled from last season. So it has window of opportunity stun, which means for the first 12 seconds of the fight, you can't stun him or you'll get stunned. And then we're going to pause it here. It also has blood in the water and defective defense. Any blocked attack that you have applies a disorient debuff to you. And while you have any debuff applied to you, the defender gains a 150% fury that's passive. All right, so what that means is Dr. Doom, with the highest block penetration in the game, is going to gain a passive fury, increasing his attack by 150% if you have a debuff, and he is going to absolutely destroy you into the block. But again, for the first 12 seconds, you can't stun him or parry him, otherwise you will be stun reflected. So, Ghost is the answer to this placement, right? But if she is banned, I think that Apocalypse is the answer. He, of course, gains Disorient immunity, but we're going to kind of pause throughout this fight. So I start by blocking. I've got the Disorient. All I'm doing here is trying to buy myself some time to gain Disorient immunity. But check this out. I just lost 14% of my health from 2 blocked hits because he has the passive fury. So now I gain the Disorient immunity, as you guys can see. Now we are good, right? Well, shit. Now I've got the shock applied to me. So I'm going to throw the SP1 really just to buy myself some time. You guys can see also underneath his health bar is that little timer. That is the time I have left to stun him. So I can stun him during this window. And when this ends, check this out. Stun Reflect is going to completely fall away. Now I don't even have a concussion applied, so I think that this is actually a bug. But regardless, stun immunity or stun reflect is completely absent from this node. I see that when I'm fighting, but I'm just not 100% sure that I trust it. So I am not going to stun him for the rest of this fight. You guys can see me just getting completely crushed on the block. Didn't even have the passive fury. I messed up on the SP2 evade a little bit earlier. Got incinerated, which didn't help. That was a lot better. It wasn't a full dex on the SP2, but I was able to dex most of it. Here I get to the SP2, and this fight is now in hand. I prefer him to be at the SP2 so that I can, you know, ignore the aura and stuff like that. Don't have to worry about that. Can just play around it, or don't have to play around it. All right, so Apocalypse I think is the answer here if Ghost is banned. What I would do differently is I would start with PS1 instead of an invulnerability, which I used because I was terrified. And then I would just start with the SP2, right? So PS1, gain Disorient immunity, get to your SP2, throw the SP2. If you're properly boosted with mutant boost, power back, and damage, then you're going to get above a bar of power. You can recycle your SP2s if you want, but I would probably just stick with the SP2s. Next time I do that fight, and I'm sure it'll be a common placement, it'll be a lot cleaner, I hope. Let's knock on wood here because I don't want to jinx myself. But all right, and then going up path 8 in section 2, we've got a Korg here. I don't have to worry about him purifying my stuns because I'm Apocalypse, but he will still deal damage to me if I'm doing mediums. I try to punish there, gain some space with my light attack, but like Apocalypse just didn't move. He just like threw his arm out there. So that's fine. We're just going to take some of this damage. It's not really a big deal. Throw the SP2 once he has his rock shields down. And yeah, I mean, this fight is very simple. I'm going to throw my SP1 because I don't want to use my SP2 and potentially push him to the SP3. Alright, and then I'm just going to do full combo. I am throwing the SP1 while he has rock shields, but the different beams and hits I knew would take care of the 3 remaining. Alright, and then the next fight here. Let's this is actually assigned to somebody else.
I was going to take an additional fight with Angela, but we'll get to that later. Someone stole it from me. Can you believe that?
Alright, so we actually moved Vega to a different path to help with energy because we were doing a boss clear. Here I am thinking about this for what amounted to 46 seconds, and I'm like, you know what? No, fuck this. Hercules, I don't know why he's placed here. First of all, he's one of the most valuable attackers in the game. Second of all, he doesn't gain very many buffs, right? And this node is actually a pretty valuable node in my opinion. It has Rich Get Richer. The more buffs the defender has, they're going to passively be gaining power over the course of the fight. Plus, they apply a weakness for every buff that they have. He doesn't gain buffs other than his true sense. Obviously, he's got dexterity, but that rarely is going to be triggered by a defender in a war fight. So there, if he throws his SP1, he gains the True Sense buff. His feats of strength are all passive, so he doesn't have any buffs really, that you have to worry about. So because I'm not gaining buffs, he is gaining buffs. I do have those withers that you guys can see, just completely taking away the node here, and I'm just going to recycle my SP2s. And with the concussion, we're just going to bypass his immortality. That fight took about 37 seconds. Just really, really easy. Vega was going to take it with Angela. Definitely would have been a longer fight. Again, we moved Vega just to help with energy elsewhere so we could do a clear, because the entire left side of the map is not going to get cleared until the boss is dead. And by the way, we got the boss down within 6 hours of war attack starting, which is pretty amazing. All right, we're going to boost up again. This is the other fight that I referenced at the beginning of the video that is really scary, right? Ghost is banned, Torch is banned, and we have an America Chavez on Stun Reflect Mini. And what's the other one? Where the one where you have to poison them well, that's stun. Fuck, what is it called? God, I sound like a complete idiot. But we're also only going to gain power when they are under the effect of a debuff, a damaging debuff, or if we use an SP1. So we are using an SP1 here. We're going to throw the SP1 to apply a poison, which turns the stun reflect, puts the stun reflect on cooldown here. Now I'm going to go in, stun her, throw my heavy. I think that was a mistake. What I should be doing here, because you guys can see this, the zones there that she's getting, the power zones. I should be alternating my combos for those withers. So I did alternate the combos. I get 5 additional withers, and her ability power is now reduced by 100%. It's actually 120% with 6 withers. I throw the SP2. Like, look at this fight. Look at where we're at in this fight. I am going to go in here, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, all right, 6%. I can totally get that with a combo. So we're just going to go for it. And 1%. I'm like, gosh, shit. Yeah, all right, great. I'm going to eat this. So, again, here's another example. Apocalypse, this is why we boost. Now, this one does a ton of damage. But, I'm able to survive it. She's at 1%. I throw the SP1. So we are going to restart this fight. And I'm going to tell you the strategy with using Apocalypse, right? Now having experienced that fight. All right, so we're going to start with PS1. We want to throw the SP1 right away to apply the poison so that she's on stun cooldown. And then you're either going to parry her, or if she's being passive, hit into her block, stun her, but then just go for a full combo with an alternate ender so that you can apply those withers right away. Right, and then when you get to the SP1, just throw the SP1 again, so you can restart the stun reflect. Instead of going for the SP2, I thought that I could go for the kill shot with the SP2. In the first fight, I obviously got close, but I didn't kill her. It's just much safer just to recycle SP1 so you can keep putting the stun reflect on cooldown. All right, and then we have Killmonger versus MODOK boss. Hercules was the other ban that they had. They banned Torch, Ghost, and Hercules. For MODOK bosses with high ground, I think the best and easiest option is going to be a Corvus with True Strike. But most alliances are going to be pretty smart about trying to, dissuade people from bringing Corvus, making the map a little bit difficult. Or if they're placing charges or missions for Corvus, they're going to put them in pretty ugly spots for him. So most people do that. And then obviously that does require a player to bring in 2 attackers just for one fight, right? Because you need the Proximus synergy. So I really like Killmonger for this fight. If you play it properly, and that's the operative term there, you can manage his high ground charges pretty well. The key is you got to just kind of survive this first 20 seconds or whatever, get him to his SP1, and then you got to nail the decks and punish. Once you do this, you're really in good shape here. Now, I like to recycle the SP1, MP Blaze, who's a really skilled player in New Nation. And he's probably one of those skilled players in the world, frankly. But he's in New Nation. He did this fight much cleaner than I did. I've taken this fight twice in the last 2 seasons, including this one, and I used his video as kind of a reference point. And yeah, you guys can see that he's at 0 high ground charges. We're really able to manage our combo. You just want to throw the SP1 on repeat. That gets you to 49. It keeps you under that 10 increment to prevent high grounds. And then you can just back up, use the counter punch. Boom. Look at this. High ground is at 0 charges, which is great. We're still doing pretty well health-wise. He is building up those passive bleeds. Now, here's where I made a tactical mistake. I was looking at those passive inactive bleeds, and I'm like, you know what? I bet he would just bleed out if I just went to the SP3. So I abandoned what my strategy was from the beginning, which was just to ignore the bleeds and recycle my SP1s to get the counterpunch charges. I abandoned that, and I'm getting kind of, I guess, greedy here, where I'm like, you know what? First of all, we want to we want to activate what's it called? Activate reverberation, which is a good idea, but you want to keep the block up and not get hit, because now I've reset my combo, which allows him to have high ground. And you guys can see that the bleed doesn't end up killing him. I lose the indestructible, and I really think that I just kind of screwed this fight up by getting greedy and thinking that I could kind of one-shot him with the SP3. We are able to get out of this fight, but it should have been much cleaner, much safer than it was. So anyway, check out MP Blaze's channel. Great YouTuber, great war player. And so here's where we were at when we cleared boss, and we did finish with the donut. We also ended up losing this war, which is really disappointing, especially the way that BG3 played, but that's okay. Leave a like and a comment, guys. Comment on what you thought was the scariest fight that you saw in this video. Go ahead and lather up the praise for Apocalypse, and I'll see you in the next video.